Hey there folks, it's been a wee while, I know, I apologise, too many things going on in real life to have allowed me to actually process and make videos, although once again I do have a bit of footage stuck aside, but I don't even know what's usable because I've not reviewed it. Anyway, let's crack on with this. What I'm doing here is a wee short video on how to actually shape seitan burgers. Now it will depend on the type of seitan you're using. If it's a loose form seitan, this method is absolutely perfect. It seems to work for any of the sort of loose form seitans that I've got recipes for. If it's a firmer, quite solid, dense seitan that doesn't easily change shape, this isn't the method for you. But if your seitan recipe is a loose form seitan dough, this is a perfect recipe for just about anyone that I've tried. I'll also put up a separate recipe in the coming days, maybe weeks once I get it filmed, for the actual recipe that I'm using in this video. But let's crack on, let's do this, and let's show you how to actually shape some nice lovely burgers.
So first things first, we want to take and get ourselves a 10.5 centimetre baking or muffin ring. It could be slightly smaller if you want, but I think the 10.5 centimetres gives an ideal burger size. But if you want a slightly deeper but not as broad burger, certainly maybe go up to a centimetre smaller in diameter, but I wouldn't go any more. Once we've done that, we're going to take our tin foil and we're going to press that round the inside of the rings. We don't want to do it round the outside. If we do it round the outside, the burgers end up looking like really processed, manufactured off production line. Whereas when we do it on the inside, it just leaves a more rustic, handmade shape feel, but we get uniform burgers at the end. Once we've got our tin foil pressed into the inside of it, you're going to take and you're going to spray a little bit of cooking oil, not much, just enough to add a tiny amount of lubrication, 1-2 squirts, to the inside of the tin foil. And we're going to do this for 6 rings for 6 burgers. And once we have our rings prepared, we're then going to measure out our seitan. Now for these 10.5 centimetre rings, I found that roughly 150 grams worth of seitan gives the ideal weight per the burgers, per the size of the rings. Now seitan recipes vary massively depending on how you're making the seitan. Some can be really firm and bound together, but what we're looking for making burgers this way is a loose seitan like you see in the video here. It's not bound together. Yes, the gluten strands have all formed. Yes, we've got the fibrous texture, but it's not bound together hard, and this will allow it to form to the shape of the ring really well. So whichever type of seitan recipe you're using, assuming you're not using mine, make sure it is a loose seitan and not a firm bound together seitan. As I mentioned earlier, we're looking for roughly 150 grams worth of seitan for a 10.5 centimetre ring. With this particular batch of seitan and this particular recipe, it's working out at 154 grams-ish per patty. And when it comes to handling a loose seitan like this, I always find it best to give your hands a slight oiling. It just means that you don't get any of the seitan sticking to and being left as a residue on your hands, because you want to be eating the food, not washing it away when you're done. And once you've weighed out the appropriate amount of seitan dough, just transfer it and sit it straight into one of your rings. Don't need to do anything else with it at this point, just dump it straight in the ring. Whoops, slow your roll. Before that we go and dump it straight into the tin foil, take and just very quickly knead the seitan so it comes together and gets a bit firmer. Once you feel the tension forming, put it in the tin foil and set aside. And repeat the procedure until all 6 rings have been filled. And before folding over our tin foil to actually make the patties, just take and press down your seitan into the ring so it's got as much pressure and levelness to it before you begin. When it comes to folding the tin foil, we want to take and fold one corner towards the other, move round to the next corner most adjacent to it, repeat, and then repeat for the 4th corner. As you see, it's a really quick process. What you want to be careful of is you don't want to see any of your seitan squeezing out the sides, and then just take and press down really firmly. Now you'll get some deformation to the shape of the burger on one side, but the other side is going to look absolutely scrumptious. So when serving, just put the not as nice side down. A potential way you could mitigate against that so both sides are perfectly even and flat would be to get some sort of hard, possibly a metal disc that was slightly smaller than the size of the ring, just to help the heat transfer, because you don't want to be blocking the heat transfer with something like plastic or wood, so it would need to be really metal just to keep the heat conducting into both sides, so both sides cooked evenly. But honestly, it's not an issue. You've ended up with still really nice shaped burgers at the end of this process, just one side's slightly deformed compared to other, just to the nature of the tin foil pressing down into it. And once we have all 6 fully prepared, get yourself a large pot with 4 litres of cool water. We're going to use cool water because we want to position these without burning our hands, and we're going to bring it to heat once we've got them all positioned. Now, I position them with the folds underneath facing down into the pot. I do it that way. I think it's the better way. It might not be. Experiment, see what you think, let me know. But I always position them with the folds facing down. We then want to bring this up to the boil and put a lid on it just to keep as much heat contained and get a little bit of pressure so it's getting cooked fully for the bits that might be exposed out of the water as it cooks. Now, as the temperature of the water begins to heat up, you'll start to see the rings with the seitan in them moving around. Don't worry about it. By the end of the process, some of them may even have popped out of the rings. Again, it's not something you need to worry about, because by the time that's happened, the burgers will have taken on the shape that you're looking for them to take on, and will have firmed up and will look lovely when you bring them out. And once the temperature is at a rolling boil, we're going to cook the seitan for 45 minutes whilst turning the temperature down slightly to a high simmer. And once the 45 minutes is up and we're taking the burgers out of the water, grab yourself a pair of tongs just to protect yourself from scalds, so you can take them away at a distance without getting your hands in the water. Even if you decided to do it via protective gloves, tongs is a safer way. And take them out. Now, I place them on my dishes draining rack just as a place to let the water seep out. You can see some of the ones here have actually flipped over, and we've now got the sealed side is facing up. As I've said already, it's not a big issue when they move around, but when it comes to placing them to cool, face them with the folds down, just so any water that's trapped in the tin foil gets to drain out. Now, if you're not using them right away, they can store in the fridge for a few days or in the freezer for several weeks. But if you are using them right away, give them time to cool, then take them out of the tin foil. As you can see, I was talking about the deformation on the underside, but the top side looks absolutely lovely, and the burgers look and taste absolutely scrumptious. So, dead simple method if you're looking to try and get a uniform shape to your burgers rather than trying to hand shape them completely when it comes to making seitan burgers, because they kind of often get out of shape, or they do when I'm doing it anyway. And this is the foolproof, the fail-safe method that I've found of making lovely shaped burgers that are uniform, round, burger shape, burger feel and burger texture. So enjoy. Take care, folks. All the best. Stay safe out there. Oh, this particular recipe, if you do make it, it's 9 minutes medium grill either side. I'll also post the recipe itself separately, probably with some of this footage reused.
So that's us. That's how we shape burgers. It's not difficult, it's dead easy, and it gives you a lovely shaped burger at the end, which, if you're using a loose form seitan, tastes absolutely gorgeous. Thanks again for watching. Take care. All the best.